to Living Well Today. I'm your host, Angela Moonan, and thank you so much for joining us on this very special day on 11/22 and also Thanksgiving Eve. It is a great honor for me to share this time with you and with some very dear friends and a longtime client of mine who we've supported one another. Rising tide lifts all boats. Yes. So we've supported one another for nearly a decade, well, actually maybe over a decade now. And with us today are three generations of the Convertino family and the C of CH. So let me introduce you. From left to right on your screen, we have Joe Convertino Jr. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how are you, Ange? Thanks for having us.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Same to you.
Yes. And then we have in the center, we have the man who started it all, Mr. Joe Convertino Sr. Hi, Joseph.
How are you? And how's everyone else? Let's wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, everyone is great. And then the beautiful smiling face to the far right of your screen is Alyssa Convertino. Alyssa, you're all the way up from St. Pete's Clearwater. Welcome, welcome.
No, thank you.
Nice to be home with family.
It's a little chilly, but
they say that as you move from Florida, when you go to Florida and you go back to New York, your tolerance is about 10 or 20 degrees less. Like I'm always layering up,
definitely.
Right?
I've got my heater on in here. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Well,
yes, but it's a safe heater. It's a safe heater.
Yeah. Thank you.
Check it out from a risk standpoint.
Yes. So if anyone missed this is CH Insurance. So you're going to hear a lot about how this particular industry has helped shape this family dynasty, has been at the forefront, I'm sure, of some of their dinner table conversations, but also how they have managed within a family business, which is a unique dynamic, how they've managed to keep balance inside and outside the workplace. So with that, I have a video to share with y'all, and it is there. Oh, see that, Alyssa? Y'all, have you picked up the y'all yet of being down south? Not quite yet. Give it a couple more years. You'll get there. So, okay, let's share my screen, and we have a wonderful corporate video and there's Alyssa's face right there. And Joe, if for some reason you don't hear the audio properly, let me know, but we should be all teed up okay. All right.
CH Insurance is a downtown company right here in the heart of Syracuse. Community is so important for CH Insurance and our organization. It's one of the core values that we strive for: impact and support the communities we live and work in.
Being in the insurance industry, you need to expect the unexpected every day. Okay, so whether it's someone calling because they have a power outage, a claim, a fire, they're bidding a job and need a certain type of insurance, really responding immediately to any of their needs and putting yourself in their shoes with what they need and treating them like I would want to be treated myself.
So even though we live in a society that is very heavily dependent on technology and social media, which we strongly believe in, I feel that it's vitally and crucial to stay in contact with our clients via phone call, stopping by to say hello, just to let them know that we're here, we value you, and that we're in your corner.
Many of our employees have different skills, talents, and opinions, and we're trying to build trust and confidence in our employees to express those, which will make CH better and help us service our clients and the communities that we live in.
What makes my job so enjoyable is being around a great team and just working with them. Whenever I have a question about anything, they're always there to help me out.
I love that I can help my team learn, grow, and become successful so we can provide the best customer service for our clients.
What makes CH Insurance special for me is just knowing that we are doing the best we can for our clients. To work with them to make their companies better, make them grow as businesses, provide expertise and five-star service.
The flexibility that I have at CH has definitely been a bonus. I am able to continue to work and do the job that I love and help my clients and also spend time with my family.
I'm really loving my new role here at CH as I get to get on the field, meet our clients, and actually see what they do day to day. I've even gotten to go out and visit a client, walk their new facility while it's under construction, and help make adjustments to their insurance program to meet their needs.
CH Insurance prides ourselves on being digitally focused and digitally forward thinking, meaning we want to be on our client's corner 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whether it's our app, our online portal, our website, email, social media, we're in your corner.
In my mind, I had hoped we'd be where we are, and we are where I thought we would be.
There's an important belief that everyone at CH Insurance carries. Success is never a solo act. It can be only achieved by great teamwork. Always remember, we're in your corner every day, every way.
Oh, look at those great faces. And I'm sure it's just smiles all around every day, 365 days a year, right, Joe Jr.?
Of course.
Yes, because one of the things we're going to talk about is that many people will think insurance and they don't automatically next think fun or energy or laughter or community. Those aren't natural segues. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get into kind of where you're at now, let's take a quick look back. And Joe Sr., why don't you share with us how this all began and why insurance? I mean, there are so many things, right? As a young man that you can pass, that you can venture down. Why insurance? It's not the most exciting field, sir, right? Not at that time, anyway.
Well, you never heard the story how I got into insurance, but when I got out of school, I ended up going to work at GE. My uncle got me a job in there, and GE was moving to Virginia, and I didn't want to go to Virginia. I'm from Hoduck Town in Utica, New York. So my father's insurance agent said, since Joe is now without a job, has he ever thought of the insurance business? And Utica Mutual or Utica National at that time was looking to hire someone, and I interviewed, and the HR manager was head of the Utica Umpire Association, and I used to play baseball, and that struck up the conversation, and I was hired as a result because they needed a ball player because they had a ball team. So that's how I got in the insurance business.
Oh, well, now we know it was sports right from the beginning, wasn't it?
Right
Joe?
from the beginning.
Right from the get-go.
So I was there, 5 years, and always wanted to get to the big city of Syracuse. So I ended up looking for a job. I ended up getting a job in Syracuse. Started with one company and went to another one where I was there for about 20 years. Took my way up the ladder, and always was a wannabe salesperson, but never had the guts to do it. So after 20 years, I changed and went into an insurance broker, wrong broker, but ended up going with another one. And in late 1998, we had a little difference of opinion. So me being the C and the H, who was part of that operation, decided to spin off, and that was in late 1998, early 1999.
Now, can I ask a question about that, Joe? Can I ask a question about that? Back in those days, I mean, there's always been entrepreneurship, right? Back to the founders of America. I mean, you think of Carnegie and Rockefellers and all the people who helped, design this land, if you will, this landscape that we call America. but even in the 90s, entrepreneurship wasn't talked about as readily as it is today. You can't go past a magazine on a rack or a post on social media, whatever, where someone isn't talking about entrepreneurship and innovation. But back then it was different. It was different even then. You talk a little bit about your mindset, like were you afraid to fail? I mean, was there even that, oh, what if this doesn't work out?
Really, not really. I thought we could do it. I mean, we started with, I think, 5 people. I had one of our accounts, a couple of our accounts that I was very actively involved with, and they decided to follow. So that was kind of our base. And then this guy next to me, I had talked to him a couple of times about coming into the business, but where he was happy. And it's kind of a funny story. He and I were playing golf, and him as a golfer.
Shocker, right? Yeah, that's surprising yet
back
again.
in those days, Angela, I used to be able to beat him.
I stunk.
So he's basically interviewing me for me to hire him for a job.
Right. So why should I come to work for you? Joe Jr., that's so surprising that you took that posture. But you were at ADP, is that right?
So I was in corporate America for probably 7, 8 years at ADP. I managed, sold large accounts. And, I was always talking to Dad about, we had similar clients, Oneida County, Onondaga County, he's from Utica, my mom and Linda, my wife are from Rome. And I had those territories, and I would always tease him, yeah, I got this account at ADP. It was 60 employees. And, oh, really? I got, that's one of our clients. And then we started kind of networking a little, not like today though, and I just said, well, wow, you guys get paid for the relationship forever. And yeah, as long as you keep a client and can grow with them. And, ADP at the time, I probably went as far as I could. I would have had to move, to another city. The kids were small, and sales was in my heart. Okay. It was totally in my heart. And
let me ask you a question about that real quick as you say that. What about it fires you up? What is it that you love so much? Because I believe, and Joe Senior, you probably believe this too, and Alyssa, you've witnessed this too, because any one of you could choose any industry, right? And those same principles apply, whether it's insurance, whether it's banking, whether it's retail, whatever it is. You could be selling golf balls, right? You could be running a golf course in a retirement community or nursing homes. The same principles apply of, business needs to be developed and nurtured and cultivated. So Joe, why in this industry, obviously your dad, you made that move at that time, but what is it about sales that fires you up so much, that you love so much about it?
Well, I think it's the competitive drive that I have every day. Now leading the company, but still love working with all my clients and growing our business. But it's that competitive drive, the juices of getting up every day, and bringing that energy not only to the office, but to the client. So I think it's just that natural competitive vibe that I've had, being very organized with, skill sets of, finding out when there's a real need for a change. Okay. The joke used to be at ADP, it was payroll. They said, call Joe for payroll, not Joe at ADP. And now it's become call Junior for my insurance help, not call Junior for CH Insurance. So
right.
And that's what we're trying to teach here, that seniors told us, is we have to be there when something happens. So we've got to make sure that whether it's a personal client or commercial client, the comfortability's there, and they know we're going to run through the wall for them. And that's what we do, whether it's tomorrow's Thanksgiving, Ange. I mean, we will answer a call.
Accidents happen every day
Last
of
year
the
had
year.
a client back into a big building. I had to take the call. Everybody was okay. We put
Yeah.
it in through the carrier and it was a 20-minute call. But that's the type of business we're in, that sometimes corporate America, you know, doesn't have that on Thursday and Friday of Thanksgiving that
Right, right,
that we all love.
right. But I think even if you were regardless, again, I think it comes back to like leadership and that kind of stuff is an inside job, you know. I think in my experience, in my humble experience over the last decade with all of you, that it wouldn't matter the industry, is that it's to do with people. It's to do with what's in that person's heart and their drive to do the right thing, to feel like, you know, I feel like CH has given each of you this platform, this stage to stand on where you really thrive. You know, Alyssa, your role within your dad and your grandfather, they're very forward facing, right? They're very out in the public, and you've lived this. Like, this is all you've ever known. Like, this, everything within CH is all you've ever known since you were born, right?
Yeah.
And so, but your role is very different from what your grandfather and your father have done. Can you talk a little bit about that role and then what it's meant for you? And in that time of making a decision, because again, you could go so many paths.
Yeah.
You have other sisters, they're not in the business. You've chosen to seed yourself there. Talk a little bit about your thinking process and your background.
So I'm thinking back to when I first started, I would come here on college breaks and like over summers. I think after high school, or it may have been sometimes in high school, and I would be answering the phones at the front desk, and like at that time I had absolutely no clue what insurance. I didn't really know anything about insurance, honestly. I had no idea what goes on here, and I was just kind of answering the phones and doing my thing, and they were paying me on summer break. So and I think just over those years that I did that, I learned to kind of see how they operate, and I met everyone in here. I mean, times have changed, different people are here now, but when the time came that I was looking for a job, I, you know, had been comfortable, and I wasn't doing anything real as far as like work, like I was answering phones and stuff. And they kind of gave me an opportunity to be in personal lines and get my license, and I was open to that. You know, I was friendly with everyone in here, and I was like, you know, maybe this will work out. I can learn more. And so I got started, and yeah, now I'm
How
personal
many
lines
years?
6 next year. So
Wow.
and I mean,
And I'm going
yeah.
to share my screen real quickly, because it just so happens I pulled up your reviews, because this is a company.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is so important, and it's vitally important, and it'll be even more so. You know, we like to hear what other people's experiences have been in order to help us best determine, does that suit me? Do I want to do business with this company? And we all know people don't do business with companies, they do business with people. And so when you look at this team's reviews, you don't, for CH Insurance, you don't hear so much. You might every once in a while, they might say, oh, the people at CH are great. And that's when CH gets mentioned. But to Joe Jr.'s point a moment ago, it's about the individual that's behind that phone call or behind that email that's making the difference. That's where the buck stops. And because Alyssa's in personal lines, she gets amazing, you know, she gets more often than a lot of the folks, she gets to interact with people in a different way than either Joe or her grandfather get to interact. So here's an example. I had the pleasure of working with Alyssa to review and enhance my car insurance coverage. Again, like, not exciting, right? But necessary. That's the other thing. Like, you guys take the headaches and the heartaches as much as you can. If someone's been in a car accident, or if someone's had, you know, their business is flooded or whatever, they're in a high state of anxiety. I mean, there's no way of getting around that. You guys have to be the counselor and the insurance advocate, right? But here, you know, she took the time to explain the different options, help me make an informed decision that suited me. I'm confident that I've got comprehensive coverage and at a good rate, at a competitive rate. And I highly recommend Alyssa. And when you say Alyssa has been wonderful. So she's helped me find ways to lower my rate, spends time shopping, etc. You're not going to get that. Obviously, that's why Joe Senior, you chose to go independent, right? To be able to give people all of those options versus being tied just to one carrier. Deborah,
Hey,
here's
Angela,
another one.
can I interrupt a second?
Yeah.
One of the things that I kind of preach here or whatever, insurance is really something people feel they have to have. And then they select, sometimes they select you because of low price. Okay? Sometimes they select you because someone told them to call insurance agency ABC. But I've always said, as boring as people think it is, when something happens, that's when we, as a firm, need to shine. Because if they have an accident or they're looking for better rates or something, when they call us, we deliver. And then by our delivering, it's going to enhance us to get additional recommendations for new clients, and we're going to keep that existing client. So
yeah,
that's
well, and I mean,
where it's all at.
Yeah, and especially today. I mean, Joe Jr., Alyssa, each of you, you're talking about, I'm sure you're talking about pricing every day because, a lot of folks have their backs up against the wall right now. The economic landscape is pretty darn tough for most individuals. And that's a real consideration that you have to be empathetic for. You're not a large organization in the sense that you have hundreds of employees, Joe. You are a small but mighty team of less than 50 employees, but have in your own right created waves in a community for lots of reasons, named economic champion, et cetera. And it takes a culture and a mindset to be able to, like you said in your corporate video, it's not a solo act, right? It takes a lot of people kind of pulling together. Joe Jr., your favorite aspect of where, you've got your daughter, you got your father, you kind of sit at this unique spot, right? Between the traditional point of view that's gotten the company to where it is, and then a fresher point of view from Alyssa and from John Serino Jr., for example, because you're not the only family group here in the company. How do you balance that? Like, how do you stay in that empathetic place of being able to equally hear everyone around the table, if you will, and then still know that you sit at the helm of the vision of where the company goes next?
I think it was probably many years ago, probably similar to what you do. I went to an executive coach. I'm going to say, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. And he talked about, creating a team that has the vision and goals that you have. And with your help too, Angela, over the last 5, 10 years, we've created a team, Senior and I, where we have Alyssa leading personal lines. We have John Serino running sales. Tony D'Amato's our operations person. We got Michelle Porto handling our large accounts. Joe Corsi in benefits. So we created this, I call it the dream team of our model, where we have go-to people for certain facets of our business. And it's been great. We have monthly meetings with them. And when you can create that synergy, it lets us sleep at night and knowing things are getting done within your company and continuing to grow.
And Alyssa, from your point of view, as you watch your grandfather and what he's built, and now now you're inside the walls, right? Forever, you were just growing up, you just knew dad and grandpa worked at, they own CH Insurance, but now you're inside in the last 6 years. What do you most admire about how their dynamic between father and son, and kind of from your younger perspective, how they've adapted and adopted the technology and the pandemic and the going virtual, and you work 1,000 miles away. That takes some fortitude and some resilience. Talk a little bit about about that and what you admire of their relationship and how they work together and how they lead the company.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're amazing leaders and they have adapted both very well, especially the pandemic. I mean, I'm sure my grandpa 20 years ago never thought that he'd have remote employees, but adapted really well to it, and it's been a huge success. And I think, as long as it works, that's all that really matters. That everyone's doing their job,
And communicate.
and communication is huge too,
And that's the key. We stayed in communication.
Yeah.
I had probably every other day Zooms, and it was different, but that continued after the pandemic. And I think, Ange, what you see, some companies fail where they communicated so well during those 2-3 years, and all of a sudden it's back to where it was maybe before the pandemic. So, I talk about it. If you didn't enhance your family or your business during the pandemic, something's wrong. And I truly believe that helped us become better today.
Yeah, for
as
sure.
a company in whatever business you're in. Okay. So
Yes.
it made us better.
Alyssa, what do you think it means
make-
to what do you think it means to your generation, Alyssa, that your company is so involved in the community in so many different ways? Does it matter?
I think it does. Yeah, definitely. I mean, people, see us doing a lot of different stuff, and I think that's really important for people to see.
Joe, where does that fire come from, giving back so much? And I'm going to share a little bit on some of your social media to show some of the types of organizations you're involved with, but why give back so much? You guys, I mean, you're next level. You're above and beyond in terms of your devotion to the communities that you live and work in. Why do you think it's so important? And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time and money. And you put it as a major priority for CH. It's a cornerstone for you.
I mean, it starts, I think, way back when you had nonprofit clients that utilize you for insurance. I mean, I think that's when maybe I woke up and then John Serino came into the picture, 15 years ago. He was very active with it. And there's the Joseph's House and Francis House and David's Refuge and just a lot of good things. I think the staff feels good too. And it's not just treasure, Angela. I mean, you hear the term time, talent, treasure. So it's not just giving dollars, it's helping in a golf outing. It's, volunteering. That starts, really at all our levels in your beliefs growing up. Okay. But it also stems, we're part of the Big I Association. Our association really preaches community. And, I think you can take it to where you need to take it, but it's just developed a nice niche within our organization. And it's a pillar for us. I mean, we're not spending millions, but, we just want to help where we can help and at the right time.
Well, and it's interesting. We're just scrolling over a golf video with you and your dad. Golf is a central role in your life. And Alyssa, your mom is a big golfer, but you don't golf.
I don't golf, no. I think it's boring.
But yet it teaches them some really interesting lessons, does it not? Joe, like when you think about the game of golf and how it applies to business, how many relationships, Joe Senior, do you think you've solidified on the golf course?
Yeah, it's a numerous, and in a couple of things, talk about some of these ads that we show. Many times I'll go somewhere and someone say, "You're the guy I saw on TV." Or, we have a place we go usually every Friday or every other Friday and get fish. And the guy who cooks the fish says, "When's your next TV ad? I want to watch it."
And that tells that affirms for you that not only do they recognize you because you're out there a lot in many ways as possible, but also because they're real stories about who you really are as people. We don't see you with bookcases behind you and, you know, stern faces buried with your faces buried in a book. You're out there, you're engaged, you're involved, you're active. And I think that that's that's probably the denominator for the entire company, Joe Jr. And that is very much Joe Jr. You started in college basketball. You a huge SU fan. Even, you know, you're not a fair weather fan. You're the fan that's there, you know, hoping for the best, even when the teams aren't doing well. So whether it's in the ice arena or on the golf course, et cetera, sports are central to your life. Talk a little bit about the lessons you've learned on the golf course and on the basketball court or wherever it might be, that you see those parallels with the way you do your business and the way you lead your life.
Yeah, I mean, golf would be more individual, but what Senior forgot to talk about on golf is he always said, you know, when you golf with clients or insurance carrier people or partners or alliances, you learn about a lot about those people in 4 hours, 4.5 hours, right? Forget the 19th hole for a minute. But the kids today, you know, the Lissas, the Johnny Juniors, the Gabbies, they don't have time for 4.5 hours, right? Your daughter, right? 4.5 hours. I think Lissa's playing pickleball now, right? It's an hour down in Florida. But
okay, that's a big pickleball's very big trend.
Good. But golf teaches you you know, how to collaborate, you know, when I look at it, can I be a partner with them? Can they be a partner for me in moving the needle with what I do? And I think that's so important to learn from that in whatever. If it's not golf, I would suggest people out there do something to try to find, in your case, harmony with moving ahead with your company. And that's what, you know, I would say we're a golf company, but we just learn a lot on the golf course. In basketball,
well, conversations. I think you're a conversational company. I think that whether it was on the golf course, again, we're talking about another stage, right? The golf course, in the stands at a baseball game, or a client outing, an employee outing, etc. You know, you go to concerts, etc. You and Linda are very active in doing lots of things like that, and you travel to all of the insurance events, etc. But they are all each unto themselves a stage, a place for you to do what you do best, and that's to create conversations with people and say, how can I help you? Can we work together to both be better at whatever it might be? You know, you have speaking of which, Joe Senior, how did you feel about when you brought DHH in? Can you give a little context for what DHH is and why you made that decision to bring that into the family brand?
Well, I think it was a unique opportunity. It was something that would be a good niche, which we would never be able to do on our own. Joe
and
was,
just for those watching who don't know, DHH is insurance specifically for the deaf and hearing impaired.
right. And Joe had a relationship with, I'll call it the DHH corporate headquarters. And one thing led to another. And the HR manager was good friends with our DHH person.
Gary.
I
refer to him as Gary.
Gary. And he said, you ought to go see these people. They had an office in Syracuse. Their corporate was out in South Dakota, and their South Dakota agent couldn't do anything. We got in there. Joe got a relationship built up. Next thing you know, we're right in South Dakota operation. And Gary came along, part of the deal. And
well, it's interesting because you have had Joe Jr., as part of your role, you've had a real acquisition mentality in terms of growth And, you know, there are times to surge and there are times to pull back and there are times to acquire and times to reinvest in, you know, the core of who you are. But talk about innovation as a whole in your industry and what kind of mindset does it take? I mean, I think curiosity has to be a part of that mindset. And also not so risk averse, right? You've got to be willing to take some risks. Talk about that from your perspective and your risk taking and what it's been like to walk that more innovative journey.
Yeah, and I would say I'm probably more of a risk taker than my dad. Just, you know, I don't know that, and probably Liz is a little more than us, just the way the generations
Just
are,
generational, sure,
you
sure.
know, but it's with the Gary situation, you know, I saw a dream of him maybe becoming the number one deaf and hard of hearing agent in the United States. So bottom line is we got endorsed for the National Interpreter Association. So whenever you see someone interpreting, we insure those individuals, and it led to other things. But there's a time that I don't want to say maxes out, right? Becomes a little more tiring, and you gotta be nimble, bring different people in to become better. Gary's son came into the business. We're like, oh my God, we got his son coming in. And that, you know, it didn't work out for him. So we had to go to plan B and do other things and work alliances. As you know, I'm big on that. And
Let's talk about plan B, because plan B is important. I mean, we all go on kind of this plan A drive, right? But at the same time, like I went to school for music. At no point could I have crystal ball that, you know, 35 years later, I'd be sitting here conversation that I had done marketing and storytelling for 10 years. I mean, you can't, so I'm trying to force that with my daughter right now, who, you know, in terms of crafting her next step, sometimes you just got to take the step and trust that there's going to be a plan B. Joe Senior, if this hadn't worked out, and clearly it did, you know, all these years later, but if it hadn't worked out, what were some of your other passions? Was there ever a plan B, or did you just say full bore, this is what I'm doing and I know I'm going to knock it out of the park?
No, I honestly felt we would be where we are. You know, I mean, I'm a dreamer. I'm always got a glass half full, not half empty.
Yeah.
And I think I was even more positive when I convinced this guy and my daughter-in-law to let him do it, to come into business. And you know, youth, that's why with Alyssa, her idea, as time goes on, we're going to be pushing her more for her ideas in the business. But Joe came in with youthful thoughts, kind of spared me a little more. But there was never a plan B. I mean,
there was no interesting.
Not in my mind, because
yeah,
I was pretty confident it would work.
And determined.
You know,
I mean, it takes a certain level of determination, you know.
And we were both of the same mindset, both competitive. You know, we both played sports. And in my mind is I developed, even my previous life, when I developed and looked for people, I looked for someone who played sports. And in my old life, before I got into this agency business, I was criticized by corporate people. How come you always pick athletes? And in our office, it's always one of the top ones in the whole country. So, you know, and one time, it's a crazy story, because one of the guys that worked for me recommended, because we put, like I mentioned, I played fast pitch softball, and we were always looking for good players. Okay. And this guy played at a college level. He was Division I player. He was lower All-American player. He come in for the interview. That's all he wanted to talk about was baseball, baseball, baseball. Nobody could believe I didn't hire him because I didn't think he had the values that I thought should be there. I mean, have the competitive values, be on top of your game, but don't try to tell me or tell us how we're going to operate our business. So no one could believe that I hadn't heard this person. And
So that competitive spirit, et cetera, is vitally important, but it's not the entire picture. You know, there has to be empathy and there has to be a willingness to lean in.
Right.
Alyssa, what do you love most about what you do? It's again, you probably didn't go to school thinking, I know exactly what role I'm going to play and how this is all going to craft out. But what do you, there must be something on a day-to-day basis that you really love in order to stay.
Well, I love that, they let me be flexible. I think that's a big thing for me.
Yes, of course, sure.
Work at home, and I feel like some people love it or hate it, but I love it. So I'm grateful that they let me do that.
And you thrive within that kind of setup.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And take the corporate jet up once a quarter.
Yeah.
Right. Now, each of you go down
should
to
get
Florida.
that.
You spend some time down in Florida.
Yeah.
And Joe Senior, you kind of started that trend. I mean, you and your wife are the ones who, Darlene, you're the ones who started going down there first. And then Joe and his wife Linda started coming. And then, of course, Alyssa and her sister moved down there. And even you got your social media and digital master, in-house master. He moved down to the St. Pete's area as well. So you have the North and South. How do you, we are talking about living well and that balance with family and work. How do you ensure that you take that time to go to Florida, that you take time to, you use golf as business, but you also have personal pursuits? Linda, your wife, and Darlene, your significant others, you give them time and energy. How do you, we can go one by one here, however you want to, whoever wants to take this, but what's the secret if anybody watches this today or in the future to say, how do you have a super successful business like that, raise a family who all still loves you because you are part of their family?
Hope they love
it. Yeah, right.
Right? We
I
think
guess
you
I
love
would
your
take
dad,
it-
Alyssa.
I would.
But
take
how do you,
first.
Joe? I mean, whoever wants to take it, how do you ensure that you have that balance?
Well, it's got to be balance. You've got to live life to the fullest. Okay, we're at different stages of our life. Okay, the misnomer down with Florida, and I'm not down there a lot, but I don't leave the office down. Okay, when I'm down there, I mean, I am working up through here, Zooming prospects, clients, insurance carrier partners, but we're in the sun a little bit, right? Having the coffee on the lanai. And you got to have the right team to allow that, allow that balance.
Trust. Yeah, there has to be a lot of trust within the organization.
And that's just been developed over the years. And we've always had that at CH. Okay. The pandemic just threw that even higher. But
sure,
it's just in my world, it's more or less working on the business rather than in the business. Right?
Yes.
So that's
and a lot of small business owners and medium-sized business owners can get caught up on that hamster wheel, that they're working in it. And so they can't get far enough away from it to say, how do I create balance and where does the company go next?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, we started going to Florida. We rented for, I don't know, my wife was in a forced retirement. She worked in retail, 20 hours a week. But if I had a trip to go to, she was able to go. And so she was forced to retire. She worked at Sears. A friend of ours used to rent a place down in Bradenton, a great place to
live
in Marie Island. And we rented there for about 16, 17 years right on the beach. And these guys got to come down and visit. And when the marketplace, Florida marketplace went in the toilet, I said, maybe it's time for us to go look for a condo to buy. And we liked Anna Marie, but it was more than I ever wanted to spend, for a part-time place. So
Sure.
we went down there and, it's like Joe talks. I mean, I got an office set up down there, ties into the office here. Come back, usually the middle of February, we have a client that we have their program renewed. And, but we still, do Joe and I talk about business down there? Yeah, we do. When he's there, or if he's there and I'm here, we talk. But,
That was going to be my question. How much does it actually infiltrate to the dinner table? Because it's so much a part of who you are. It would be like me never talking about doing this show, or me talking about, like, it's, to me, I never saw that separation. To me, balance doesn't mean you leave work at work and you just talk about it. That for me, balance means that you feel comfortable in your skin, no matter what hat you're wearing. And that you're inclusive in the sense that, if I'm sitting and I'm talking about someone, I'm not just doing it to pat myself on the back. I'm saying, is there a way, if this person was able to watch my show, or if we were able to have a conversation about their story, and them stepping up on their stage and really becoming the hero of their own story, through my work, I can improve their life. Or if I'm talking about it with my daughter at dinner, it's because I feel like there's a lesson there that can help apply to somewhere that she's at in her work or life. So I kind of don't agree with, the leave work at work kind of thing. Understanding your intention when you're talking about work is the deeper story to me. And I always feel like, even when we're talking about work, Joe, and we talk, Joe Jr., and we talk about it a lot, that it's always kind of wrapped in this, what's the lesson here? Like, what are we learning? Right? Are we getting better? And Alyssa, do you see that? Do you think your father has gotten better in certain ways and changed and adapted as a leader?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Talk about aspects of your dad, what makes him a great leader, and then maybe what have been some challenges for you having your dad and grandfather as your bosses, in a sense.
Well, first off, we're not her boss.
Yeah.
Okay, in a sense, though. No,
Yeah,
I don't
you're
care
right.
what a title says on a door,
She
right? In a
reports to
sense,
Tony.
it's always got
Yeah,
I
another.
get it.
Report to them on certain things. What was the question again? Sorry.
Well, what's it like? What's it like to have them? And how have you seen your dad? Like, what aspects of him as a leader? How have you seen him grow? And what makes him the leader that he is?
Well, he has a lot of energy. And he's always, he's just really energetic. And I think that's a good trait to have, being a leader. He knows what he wants and gets things done.
He rallies people well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gets them fired up. Yeah. Like a coach would for a team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, now, what about some of the challenges? Did you ever think, oh boy, I don't know, do I really want to be a part of the family? Did that ever cross your mind, or you were like, no, you know what, I like this, I'm going to give this a shot?
Not really. I think we're good about, keeping our distance when we need to, and
giving each other space.
They're not overbearing with anything. So
there's some negative news in our business, right? Day-to-day operations, I want the company visible, senior has fun. Well, what are we paying this for? You have fun agreements, disagreements, but we're trying to do things, and we owe that to him. Here's why we're doing this, here's why we're doing that. As long as the company's flourishing, you could have an issue with a client, right? You could have something not covered. There's good news, bad news, and as a team, we got to live it, breathe it, and come together at time of need. in those situations.
Well, and I think too, we talk about it is challenging times for a lot of people. And, when you are dealing with customer service, or you're dealing with a challenge within your own family, what are the characteristics, I guess, and any one of you can put forth this if you like. What are the characteristics, the things that you think you want to continue to nurture within yourselves to ensure that you keep that empathy up, that you are a good listener, etc.? What are the types of, like, patience? Do you think patience is important? I know that's Joe Jr. I know that's tough.
It's
Yeah,
top for me.
Right. I think, Ange, what needs to be done is, the values that we've instilled here is, yes, we're a family business. And the key is here, we try to stretch that out to our employees, that we're all a family. It's just not the three of us. Okay. And I think our people buy into that. And, when there's an issue, we try to look at it together and solve it as best we can. I mean, sometimes it's a little difficult, depending on the circumstances, but he and I butt heads every once in a while. Okay. And, but when we let it out on the table, one or both of us will admit we've solved it. And that's what it's all about.
Well, and I think back to, you talk about the values, and maybe Joe Jr., you can articulate this. We call them 5 C's, but a few of the values that, I mean, I'm hearing trust, and trusting your team is vitally important. John Serino, for example, you've had by your side Joe Jr. for, I mean, many, many years. Michelle and Tony and these people who are just gems of a human being. And I think, can you talk about those values that are the 5 C's, or at least a few of them that are so important to you that you think are the backbone of the organization?
Well, I think we talked about not only connection with our partners, but the connection we have with our people, right? Connection,
Yeah.
Curiosity. They have questions too, right? On the landscape of the industry.
And you're always attending, you're always educating, and
right.
doing
So
webinars and
in the different aspects that they bring, but I think the key is being attached at the hip at every facet of the business. And I think that's one thing we're trying to install in all the newer people. You talked about plan B, you looked at the question for senior plan B, I'm going to make it, right? I'm assuming we're going to make it. Plan B to me is the different landscape that's out there today.
The factors you can't control.
Right. So you can't get employees. Where are the salespeople today? So I got to look at different avenues to find programs to bring in opportunity. And then the insurance companies, for different things, have service centers. We're learning about, we don't like to hear this, but service being done overseas. We're not there yet, but the technology, the landscape is all changing.
Oh, I mean, look at AI. I mean, look at AI and what AI
and I gotta,
is doing.
Learn that. And I know you're using that and how that benefits our company, but more importantly, can that benefit our customer? Right. So,
and yet with all of those shifts, what you're talking about is this compass, or this cornerstone of those 5 C's of the connection and community, curiosity, etc., embracing change, that those things are the things that help you tact, just like a sailboat. The storm comes through, the strong winds come through, things that you can't control. But if you stick to those core values, as Joe Sr. said, you get to the next destination and the next and the next. So as we get ready, we're coming down to just a few minutes left. I want to thank everyone for your time today and your investment and energy here. And I kind of do a rapid fire at the end of each of these shows about a few things that I think you haven't seen these questions. These are always
Uh-oh.
just kind of like, they're super simple and anyone can take, I might direct a few of them, but anyone can take any of them. But before we wrap up, I just want to share with those questions, I want to share the screen one more time. And I just want to show that as you look, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Facebook, which we looked at already, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, that the company is, as Joe said, visibility is really important. And while you support that and while you advocate that visibility, you don't go and get involved in, because your energy is so valuable and your time so valuable, you don't go and just get involved in anything. I mean, you must get solicited a gazillion times a week to be involved with this, involved with that. And you still have to have some discernment, right, around where you're going to invest your energy. So how do you select? Joe Jr., you're almost always the one driving that, unless like maybe John Serino says we have a spaghetti dinner that, we're going to be raising money for the food pantry, or we're going to be doing this, or we're going to be doing this for the downtown committee, or whatever it might be. Other people come to you with ideas, certainly, but you're kind of the driving force behind the selection of who you partner with in your community and how you give back. What's your criteria for that?
Well, it's interesting. The word that would come to mind, it's got to feel right. Right. It's got to feel right.
It's like, a gut thing. It's a gut thing.
Like I'll bring up Perry Noun, tea time with the pronoun. Okay. I mean,
yes.
Up 6 o'clock every Saturday going down. It's a golf show, but I've brought some business into the golf show. So it feels right. We're just doing some things. I believe in education for the Central New York community on whatever platform, radio, Bridge Street, whatever it may be that we're going to be on in December. And you're elevating the company, you're elevating the company and educating the community on 93Q with Ted and Amy.
Yeah. Local radio. Yeah. I mean, local radio is a fascinating landscape, because while many of the radio stations have gone to the national syndicated stuff, et cetera, there are several who are still very locally based, and you're super into them, not just because of the visibility aspect, but because you do believe in Central New York. You do believe in seeing the community landscape thrive. I mean, you were on that Survive and Thrive series on Galaxy for like over a year during the pandemic, which was all about supporting businesses, small business owners through the pandemic. So as you do this, I know we just posted this today, but you just had the mayor on your show, the mayor of Syracuse, right?
Yeah. Perry, and he's great. He has golf people, but we can have other constituents that are part of the community that like golf. That's Perry. He's crazy. Look at him dancing. I mean,
86 years old. I had him on the show a couple of weeks
ago. I saw that. So
he's a hoot.
Again, talking about golf and how it could affect the business, and you throw in a couple insights on insurance. We had Dottie Pepper, we had Jim Nance. It's nuts. And if
Jim
senior would be,
Boeheim,
this probably wouldn't be senior, but I just enjoy it. I enjoy it because it's play by play. It feels like play by play.
Alyssa, he can't sit still in his seat. You see this?
Yeah,
you know this firsthand better than anybody.
Loves it all. Loves it all. Love
well,
it.
And you have this bevy of beautiful women around you, Joe and Joe, both of you, between your beautiful wives and all of your daughters. Talk a little bit before we go into our rapid fire Q&A. Joe, talk a little bit about what it's been like to have. I mean, you have your sister, you've got your wife, you've got all your daughters. Talk about what is it like to be the one man in the household?
All these women in my life, plus a female dog, Finley.
A little girl dog. That's right. What's the dog's name again?
Finley. Little Finley.
Finley.
Did she?
They bust me. I'm the solo guy out in a lot of stuff, but respect them all. So proud of them. They got great careers. Christina's an esthetician. She would tell you, you know, didn't go to the fancy flamboyant 4-year school. It's okay. She's great kid.
She's
a
happy.
great
She loves it. She loves what
happy
she's doing.
esthetician. Proud of
Katie's a
Alyssa.
teacher. Katie's
Katie's
no, is
in
she in
Victor.
special education? What does she
Special
teach?
ed, 4th grade in
Yeah.
Victor, was in the city. Linda's been great. You talk about giving back. She was very involved in the Francis House, brought us in to be the chairs of that last year. And,
Yeah.
we all went to it. It's a great cause. As I say, I got to buy my way into heaven.
No, I don't
But
think
Linda's
so.
been great, puts up with me. It's not easy. Okay. I shouldn't say we're not home a lot, but I want to do things to make sure my family life is great and the business is moving too. And you got to have an understanding family. And I think I've had that.
There's the girls
I know
right
what
there.
what seniors take is with my mother.
Look at those beautiful daughters.
Oh boy.
Look at what you created, Joseph.
Wait a minute, I started part of it though too.
You're to blame. Yes, you started it all. I'm just
Now,
looking here.
what would mom say if she was sitting here, senior?
No, I think,
Yes, the matriarch of the family.
well, we never know what she's gonna say, but anyway, I think, as part of, finishing up what Joe's talking about, I mean, the family is an important thing, but I think not more important than the family, but as important as the family is that you need to be having fun while you're doing all these things. I mean,
Yes.
what Joe is doing now, I did 20 years ago. Okay. And
I'm trying to find a picture of your beautiful wife.
As my wife says, he's a carbon copy, but he's more of a pain than I am. But yeah, as you get older, sometimes you get wiser. But
you hope. We all hope.
We all hope. Yeah.
But even though I will say this about you, senior, is that yes, wisdom for sure. Because whenever we talk, you always have this little story for me that's got a nugget of like wisdom in it. Tony D'Amato does the same thing. When he shares a story, you can hear the wisdom in it. But you also have this, you're still involved with the business. I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but you're older than anyone else in the room there with you. And you're the eldest of the entire CH family at work. So you still have a youthful curiosity and wanting to be engaged and wanting to stay a part of it. Talk a little bit about how, as I get older, I'm 55, as I look at my next 30 years, like Perry, I mean, I look at Perry now and I go, my gosh, if I could have an ounce of that, right? When I'm 86 years old, how do you keep that vital interest and youthful perspective going?
Well, first off, as I said, you have to enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thoroughly enjoy it. We have one major client that Joe's involved with me on it, and he loves to bust them on him. If he's watching this, he knows what we're talking about. Says to me, he comes in and says,
"That's a compliment."
No, it's really a compliment. He says,
I was somewhere. I was at down the hall.
No, you were in the room.
No, he said.
He says, when are you going to retire? You're not going to retire because then I got to deal with him alone. But to me, that's a compliment.
Yes.
Because
for sure.
I remember years ago, I worked with this company, and I was one of the few Italians in the company. And people used to really talk and tease you about who you were. And someone told me, and I remember to this day, I was a lot younger than I am now. People won't tease or talk to you in that way unless they like you and respect you. And that's the one thing that is stuck in my head all these years.
When they feel that there isn't a wall between the two of you, that there's no safe zone they have to be certain of and handle you with kid gloves, right? That is
But
it is a
I was
it
gonna
is
say,
a code of respect.
what senior's saying, this guy said, and then we'll close it up. But
Yeah.
Junior, you are bringing him down in a wheelchair whenever that happens, and he's still coming to the meeting.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
I gotta say that.
You wanted to keep the wheelchair powered out of it, Joe.
You're wheeling him down here in 20 years.
Well, hey, if there's anything that I've learned through my friendship and work with your team is that you do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah,
So
right.
I would be a bit surprised if y'all go down doing that. Exactly that. All right. So here's my rapid fire. What do you love about where you live? What do you love about where you live? And you could say both, you love, because there's different attributes of upstate New York, right? Than there is of Florida for sure, but you must love both. So, or you wouldn't be there. Because you, again, would have a myriad of choices of where to live, and you've chosen to stay in upstate New York for most of the year. So what do you love about it?
Well, I think from my perspective, I've been brought up in this part of the country. A lot of my family, my previous family, before children and grandchildren, we were always close when we were younger. And, the weather, other than the winter, which we've now solved, by having a place in Florida, is usually pretty good up here. And, the seasons are great and the people are great. We have good friends up here, even though the older we get, you lose them. And, but from my perspective, everybody says, well, will you go to Florida and live? No way.
Too hot.
I would never live down there year round.
Hey.
Hey, Alyssa says, what do you love about where you live? Like, what lights you up about it? What do you love so much?
Well, Florida, I love the weather. I love that I don't have to deal with winter.
Yeah, your new apartment is gorgeous.
Yeah, I love like being downtown, being able to walk to restaurants and try new places. But I also like coming back here. All my friends are here, so I like.
Yeah, you're always gonna feel
family
roots.
Are here, so
yeah, you're always gonna feel
it's
roots.
not a
like
bad
that.
thing coming back.
How about Joe? How about Joe Jr.?
For me, it would be. I think it's a great standard of living here. Housing's affordable. I don't want to get into that stuff, but I mean, I love the 4 seasons. I love hopefully being able to come back and forth to Florida. Linda's family from Rome, great golf courses locally, SU Sports.
Yeah.
I bought a jet ski with my midlife crisis. I can go to lakes. You can put it on the Jeep and there's 4 lakes around here that are 20 minutes. So the fun stuff about just central New York that everybody hears about and being a local downtown company, in the heart of Syracuse, I love it. Our signs out there, we're in Clinton Square. You can't get any better.
Yeah. Connected. Again, you feel very connected to wherever it is wherever you are. Okay. Favorite word, Joe, favorite word.
Start with senior. I got to
Okay. I'll start with C. Yeah. That you and Alyssa get the benefit of thinking about it. Favorite word, Joe.
Positive, have fun, enjoy life.
Yeah.
That's 3 words.
Right.
That's okay. No, that's good. We get it. Alyssa, what's your favorite word, darling?
I don't know.
Going out.
Favorite phrase, favorite thing. How about you, Joe?
Energetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I just want
because it embodies your brand, your company.
Energetic. We talk about passion for what we do, passion in life. Forget just work, right? Do something and have passion for it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I were to say, and I'm going to say it about CH because we've got the 3, and then we'll wrap up on this one. because we're at 2:10. Longest show I've done yet, but we got 3 people. So this is wonderful.
Wow.
You
What?
haven't had anybody like us.
That's right, and never will again.
That's right. Amen.
Yes, amen to that.
Amen.
So what, if I were to do a survey and I asked 100 people to fill in the blank, and I said CH Insurance is fill in the blank, what would you want them to say?
You know that answer. Well, for me, it would be in your corner.
I was gonna
CH
say,
is in your corner.
I think, because there've been times when I've met people and they said, in your corner.
Mhm.
So that, when you
Six.
brought that to us, how many years ago?
Phew.
2011, maybe?
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
something like that.
We got to give Angie a plug because
No.
in those days, CH Insurance, they'd say senior and junior.
Right.
So it's such a compliment that they're not saying that today. It's turned to our people, our team, the reviews, the in your corner every day, every way. And that took time. And, the branding is just so important in developing a company. And, kudos to Angela for helping us
Yes.
with our mission. So,
Yeah. Well,
we've
and
had-
and thank you for that. And I will say this, I've developed brand promises and brands for lots of different companies over the years. It's a heck of a lot easier when it's real through and through. We were able to create something together that was there percolating already. It just hadn't been crystallized in a way that could be quickly shared and remembered and repeated. And so, this show is about harmony. It is about living in balance, and it is about living well today. I know for me what living well today means, and it represents, for me, I like to see beauty. I like to have beauty around me, whether it's in my garden, my view, the people that are in my life, the way I decorate my home, the cats that I have. It doesn't matter. Just, is it beautiful? Does God speak to me and through all of this beauty in my life? I mean, that's what I'm here for. For each of you, it means something a little different, and this is what we'll close on. And you can either all answer it individually, or one of you can take it. It's your call. But what does living well today mean to you?
Well, I'll answer from my perspective. Living well means, I'll use the word happiness, enjoying what you're doing, having fun, because all of those intertwine. And I personally think the reason we've been successful all these years, it's hard to believe, next year will be our 25th year in business.
It's amazing.
I think about this a lot, and how fast they got here. You know probably better than either the 3 of us. How many business could start out like we did and still be around 25 years
25 years later, and loving it, and really loving it, like coming to work and loving what you do, because there might be some folks out there who can slug it through, but that's what they're doing, is they're slugging it through, and they're
just
not
for the sake of
growing
having
as
a
a
place
result.
to go.
Yeah, and a paycheck.
And maybe faking it. They may be faking it.
And maybe faking it after all this time. That's right. Joe Jr., what does living well today mean for you?
Living well today for me is, I agree with Senior, happiness in the family, happiness in the business, right? Work-life balance, play hard, work hard.
Work hard, play hard.
Is it work hard, play hard? Yeah, okay. Work hard, play hard.
Same thing.
So
Alyssa says, get it right.
all of the above, and continue to lead the company to where we need to go, and create the vision and culture to be known what we're known for, and that's helping consumers really across central New York navigate this insurance maze, because it's not getting any easier.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that there's that old saying that maybe many of you and anyone who watches this has heard, and that is, you know, at the end of our days, will we lay there in our bed and say, I wish I had worked more? And the old adage is that people say, no, you know, I wish I would have spent more time with family. I wish I would have seen more of the world. I wish I would have had more experiences, or just played a bigger role in my community, given back more, volunteered more. But I got to tell you, with your organization, with your people, and with the 3 people on this Zoom today, you're doing all that. You're doing all that. So you can look back from an outsider's perspective. I look at you and say, you're really walking your talk. You are in harmony. You know, does that mean that things don't continually evolve and get easier in some ways, so that you don't have so much pressure all the time, and that you can lighten up and breathe? I think that's always important. I think we're always on that journey to learning, how do we have more and more freedom in our lives, more and more harmony. I think that's till our last breath. We're always figuring that out. But on a day-to-day basis, I think you guys have much of what you said. You've got the right game plan. You've got the right game plan. So I want to thank you. I want to invite anyone who's watching to visit CH Insurance, or follow and like them on social media. It's very important to them. It's where they share their stories, their lives, their successes and their challenges. You know, you get to peek behind the curtain and see all of that, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram, or YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it, they're there. Twitter, they're there. And you can visit them at their new and evolving website. It's continuing to go through iterations, like all aspects of their business, and that's at chinsurance.cc. It's not at .com, it's at .cc. And they also have DHH Insurance, and that's .com. Is that right, Joe? Gary's
That one's
business is
.com.
at .com. That's .com. DHHinsurance.com. So thank you each. I want to wish you many Thanksgiving blessings. And where's dinner happening tomorrow? Where are you all getting together?
Well, I'm going to my daughter's in Rochester.
Okay,
And then
nice.
we're going to Rome to Linda's sisters. So
Okay.
the Virginia crew's up in town. So
That's right. Matt and his wife. That's
we
right.
stay overnight, have a cigar, a couple dog walks. Next day we go bowling. We have a competitive bowling family event Friday.
Who do you think is the most competitive?
Who is the most competitive of like Matt, you, all of them?
Him and Matt.
Well,
Him and Matt.
they'll come
Him
to
and
blows
Matt.
before it's
Yeah.
over.
I think
would
honestly
say.
maybe more Matt than you
Would it be more
at
Matt?
times, which is
Yeah, Judith and Tom in the chat say, what a wonderful family. Yes, and I ditto that, and thank you ever so much. Much Thanksgiving love to you all. Be safe in your travels, and for all of you watching, happy Thanksgiving, for living well today. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ange. Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, sweethearts.